How do I tag everybody on Facebook with this, Donald?
Welcome, Facebook. Welcome to another edition of Vnetwork Radio. Got a wonderful program for you today. We ask you to sit back, relax, and join with us. A good hour of good programming. Hey, make sure you tell a friend, tell a neighbor that we're on. All right. We're here. Our special guest from Chicago is in the house. Make sure you share this broadcast. We're here live all the way in Chicago. All right. Once again, thank you for tuning in to the Vnetwork Radio, music entertainment industry talk. We're here. We're here with our special guest, Derek Jones. He is in the studio right now, and you're listening to one of his tracks, "Love Me Down," right here on the Vnetwork Radio. Hey, today we're gonna be talking about the history of the Chicago house music, and we're gonna bring our guest on right now. He's in the house. All right, he is in the house. We're gonna add him to the studio chat. Hey, thank you so much, Mr. Derek Smokin Jones is with us here live here on the Vnetwork Radio. How are you today, sir?
I'm hanging in there, Donald. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thanks. Hey, you've been doing so much in the music entertainment industry. We just heard a track, "Love Me Down," and you do so much for the music and for the house music. And you've been doing it for so many years. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. Jones.
I'm here. Praise God. No.
Yes, sir.
I started. Well, let's go back. From the age of 9 and 10, I always dreamed about being on stage. For whatever reason, that was where I was always comfortable. I started out as a dancer, like most house people did. I was, when the whole pop lock thing was popular and the white face and the black gloves and the strobe lights, I was competing in grammar school doing that. And then I progressed into, high school, and high school was the beginning of my interest in house music. Actually, a friend of mine, Jeffrey Green, introduced me to house music. One day he called me up and he said, "Are you listening to the mixes?" And I was like, "No, what are the mixes?"
Right.
And he was like, "You don't know what the mixes are?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Well, go to WBMX, 107.5. And I says, "Okay." I went, and from that point on, I fell in love with it, Yeah. And I was hooked. I think the first person I heard that particular day was, I think it was Kenny Jam and Jason of the Hot Mix 5. And then it progressed into Farley. At that time, his name was Farley Funkin' Keith. Today, he's Farley Jackmaster Funk. But yeah, and he was also one of my mentors as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
No, go ahead.
What when you first started, you started into the house music, or did you start into the other genres of music when you started DJing?
Well, actually, I was DJing for my uncle, in his lounges and stuff, and I was not supposed to be in them. So, but I would go in there and I started playing 45s and, albums, and I was playing music that kids my age probably didn't know much about, jazz, blues, dusty, soul, Motown sound because that was the thing then, in the early 80s and late 70s, early 80s. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that was the thing. And I just did it because I was just doing it, and then house music just turned the whole situation around. After that, I was like, wow, this is real music,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you started the house music, what did you think about the house music and the upbeat up tempo of it?
Well, you know, house music is a spiritual thing. It was very, what's the word I'm looking for? It had you in a trance. Very, it captured you because it spoke to your spirit.
Right.
And it wasn't that far from gospel music because house music grabbed some of its roots from gospel and some of its roots from disco, and it kind of transformed into this thing. Um, so house music, when they say house is a feeling, it truly is a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that sits inside of you, and it preaches to your soul, and then it manifests itself in your attitude and how you are with people. That's why they always say house was always about unity and love and peace and
Right.
everything. But yeah, we're going to get into the drama part of it too. But yeah,
Yeah.
but that was the initial thing. Yeah, that
All
was
right.
the initial thing. Yeah.
And so, exactly what is house music? In a sense, is it disco? Is it uh, you know, electro? Is it what is it? Because you hear different genres of music. You hear all these different styles. Is it house music, technical, electric? All
Well, to answer you, Donald, it's and to keep you from getting shot out here, and me as well. it's 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 rooted. I believe, my opinion is rooted out of disco. You know,
Mhm.
whether people want to admit it or not, but house is not disco. We took samples from disco, and we took samples from soul and R&B music back in the day, to help create this sound. It was a sound that was primarily underground, that manifested itself primarily in the gay clubs.
Mhm.
Um, like, we had the warehouse, the power plant, when Frankie Knuckles, rest in peace, when he was alive, those were places. You had Larry Levan, Paradise Garage in New York, so you had all of these things at that time.
Mhm.
Um, and it was just that all around sound.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we just want to take this opportunity to thank all of our fans and listeners out there. And they're out here tuned in. And we have Mr. Curtis L. Phillips is out here with us. He says, "What's up, Derek Jones?"
What's up?
And so many are chiming in on the chat. And I'm telling you, they're out here and they're throwing up like signs here in the chat. Yeah, so you know, um, so basically, in a nutshell, uh, house music is music, and it has been split up down through the years. Is that correct? In
Well,
different
we know the
categories.
argument. A lot of guys will say, when the EDM age hit, in a few years back, all the guys were talking about, oh, EDM sucks, and I hate EDM. But what people failed to realize or forgot about was house music was always called EDM. It was
Mm-hmm.
always called EDM, electronic dance music. And the reason why they called it electronic dance music was because when we were creating the music, we were creating the music off of samplers, cassette tapes, reel to reel, 808s, 909s, Linn drums, and it was void of any live instrumentation. So at the time of the house boom, you had a lot of disgruntled musicians that actually played piano, that actually played bass and guitar and drums, and they were being replaced by these machines. And so that's where the term electronic music came from, because it was created electronically. Now, over a period of time, as house music started to develop and cultivate and everything, and it started getting real popular overseas in the UK and in Germany and all these different places, they started, like all Black music, they started to create their own sound, and their own vibe off of what we did, because Chicago at that time was the trendsetter. The producers and the record labels in Chicago were trendsetters, like Chicago Track Records, DJ International, guys going over to Tommy Boy and different things like that. So and you had so many great producers back then, Joe Smooth, Larry Heard, you had Jesse Saunders, Jesse's Gang when they were coming out, and you had so many other, the list can go on of so many other people, Steve Silk Hurley, Full House, Keith Nunley, it was so many of us doing it back then. Marshall Jefferson, who created the house music anthem with Curtis McLean. Gotta have house music. That is the song that identifies house music globally all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about with house music today? Where do we lie at with the house music? We have still a lot of DJs are still spinning lots of music. Is it considered house music, or have they developed their own style?
House music started in Chicago, and it's a saying in a house track that a lot of us know. No one man owns house, and house, like every other music, had to evolve, and it in essence evolved into multiple sounds of techno, trance, acid, chill, underground, soulful, tribal, Afro, and more genres just keep popping up because everybody's coming up with these unique sounds off of the foundation of house music. I think the biggest arguments with house music right now is, the culture divide, and the racial divide, that I even spoke on a Facebook Live earlier, I think the day before, yesterday possibly. And that is a big thing, where you have a lot of EDM stars that are making millions of dollars, and some of them making $1 million a gig, $250,000 a gig, $500,000 a gig, while the African American and or the Black DJ, the Black producers, the founders of this are making 15,000, 20,000, 10,000, and also are not charting like these guys. They're also not being recognized like these guys. And I think primarily, it comes down to economics. One, there's not enough of us out here supporting artistry and Black music as it pertains to African Americans, because we are a small minority anyway. The majority is the Caucasian market, and the Caucasian market comes out more in force because it's more of them, and they will come out and they will buy the music. They will come out and hang out at the parties. They will do all of these things because it's more of them. If it was more of us, I'm sure the numbers would be different. But also we lack in support. And then we don't own anything as Black people. We don't own our own radio stations. We don't own our own mega clubs. We don't own our own huge marketing and promotional companies that will get out here and help back and finance a lot of artists such as myself and
Right.
producers such as myself to help us chart. And then back in the day, you know, a lot of the white DJs and producers back then, they did something smart. They helped themselves to get charted. While meanwhile, back at the ranch, we were laughing at them, talking about, hey, what they doing? That's so stupid. Well, it turns out it worked very well, and it helped them to make millions of dollars while we were laughing at them. So we can't put it all on, and I don't think it's so much a black and white thing where, you know, the white folks don't like the black folks and the black folks don't like the white folks. I think it's more economics. The economics were there more for Caucasian people than it was for African Americans.
Right. Hey, we're gonna open up the phone lines, and we had so many people chime in while you were discussing. Hey, can you tell us some of the recordings or hits? There were hits, name recordings that I should recall. Can you give us some of the names of the hits and the recordings from house music?
From any artist?
Well, yeah, any artist.
Okay, well, we just named one. You know, Move Your Body, Marshall Jefferson, Curtis McLean. You know, you have Chippy, It's House. You got, you know, Fingers Inc., Mystery of Love. That's hot. You know, you had Shannon, One More Shot. You had Derek Smokin Jones, Homeboy, and at that time I was also with a guy named Kevin Turner, which was DK Productions, and we had a song out called Take Me, which was one of the first few soulful house tracks that came out in the 80s before soulful was a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have people just chiming in, and then Curtis Phillips says, and better marketing. So they apparently had better marketing than as you discussed.
Absolutely.
What is the breakdown? How come, you know, we wasn't able to get together, you know, to form these big record companies and record labels to you know, produce our own music and to back up our own genre of music, and you know, whether it's gospel, whether it's you know, house music. How come we wasn't able to do that? You know, because
well, primarily, again, it goes back to economics. Let's before we go into economics, let's do this. We are such a creative, talented people that we always create and do things on a level of it being almost effortless. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's so natural for us to have a certain swagger. It's so natural for us to have so many different talents, because I guess that's how God blessed us. It's innately in us. And I think because we have that skill, we don't cherish it enough. We take it for granted. And because we take what we do for granted, we kind of just create stuff and toss it and create stuff and toss it. We don't always hold a value to it until somebody takes it from us and takes it to another level. And then all of a sudden we're pissed off. But on the flip side of that, I appreciate the fact that other races, other countries, other cultures love and appreciate what we do. It's a shame that not enough of us appreciate it enough to make those hard demands to say, yes, I'm glad you appreciate the music. Yes, I'm glad you appreciate, but don't bastardize our music. Don't take us out of the equation of creating this music, because that is not fair to the creator. You can't say, it's just like God, and people talk about evolution and we just popped up on the planet like a weed and all of a sudden, okay, they were humans. You cannot take away from the creator creating us, just the same as we created things in soul and rock and roll and jazz and blues. We created all of this, and then they take it and they whitewash it They soap it up and they take some of the dark off of it till it gets a little beige, and then it gets a little more gray. Then all of a sudden it's white. You know, they did it with, Marshall Jefferson and Curtis McLean's "Move Your Body." They whitewashed that. I mean, I've heard them pull the entire soul out of songs, but that again, that goes back to a spiritual thing. They, most Caucasians, and I'm not going against the Caucasian. I have white friends, I have Latin friends, I have people all over the world, and I love them to death. And we have had these conversations in person.
Right.
But we are a natural people that are connected to the spirit. We are naturally connected in the way where nobody understands our struggles like we understand our struggle. People say, oh man, they don't know what it's like to drink out of a mayonnaise jar. They don't know what it's like all the time to grow up in a home with no father, or they don't know what it's like to see your mom struggling and trying to make it, or vice versa. Now your daddy's got to raise you and your mama's on the street, or your brother's on drugs, or your lights might get cut off tomorrow. We were always a praying people. And because that came from the roots of us, we came from slavery and oppression and constant oppression. And that constant oppression came out in our music. It came out. That's why we sung the blues.
That's right.
We sung the blues because we lived the blues.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then when we had good times, we rocked it out. So then we had rock and roll. Before there were underground clubs and private clubs, we created the juke joint because we weren't allowed to have certain establishments and sell alcohol, and we couldn't go into New York in the white clubs and the white communities unless we were working there as servants or servers or butlers or janitors or something like that, or they just brought us in, to dance and do the jig for them, and then go out the back door. So we created our own joints, and then we had the Caucasians coming in, listening to us play the blues, rock and roll, seeing how we dance, listening to our grooves, and then they were like, hey, I like that, man, I like that. And then they would take that into the city and put their twist on it, and all of a sudden, oh, it was their thing. Come on now.
And one of the things that I want to say is that also they used contracts to work against the artist.
Right.
And so that caused division between the bands and then the different artists that created the music, because they tried to keep up so much under the contract, and basically it was just a take, and nothing was given to those starving artists, and
that's why they call us starving artists, because a lot of us signed ourselves into deals that we did not understand. And again, we got to go back to economics again. A lot of us at that time, and even in the present, didn't have the education to break down a contract and understand what the language means. And we didn't all of us didn't have the money to pay an attorney to go and review it. So we just took a chance. We got that upfront money, and they bought us a house, or they bought us a car, or they gave us this, or they paid our mortgage for that, or they did this, as long as you were selling records.
Right.
And I mean, we could go back to the whole Chess Records thing. That tells that story right there. So, it really didn't much change when I signed. I remember one thing very clearly. When I signed for Chicago Track Records, I'll never forget this. Larry Sherman, he rest in peace. He just died a few months ago. Slid me a contract across the table with a check. I'm probably 17, 18 years old.
Right.
And he says, if you give me the opportunity to F you, screw you, he said, I will. So make sure that you have an attorney look over this contract. Well, okay. I'm looking at all of this money that, that was big for me then. And I'm like, okay. And when I did seek out an attorney, it was only two attorneys handling stuff. And then one just passed a little while back ago too, JB Ross. And I can't remember. I think the other lady, her name was Linda something. But it was only two attorneys. And unfortunately, when I went to JB Ross was representing Larry Sherman.
Wow.
So it was like, okay. And then my parents weren't into music. My great aunt raised me. She came to Chicago from the South, from a sharecropping family on a 6th grade education.
Wow.
And hey, but you know what? When she passed, she had $500,000 or $600,000 in the bank. She had a lot of things going for herself off that 6th grade education.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, she didn't know anything about that. She didn't, and my father and them at that time, they really weren't taking me that seriously because they thought it was just kind of a fad or a thing that I was going through. And I really didn't, to be honest, I really didn't take the contract to my parents. I just went ahead and signed it. I went and cashed that check. And, the rest is, screwed history.
All right. Hey, we're going to open up the phone lines on tonight. We got so many people chiming in. We want to hear from our viewers. Give us a call, 860-461-7577. Chime in on, this great topic of house music and how it got started. And you may have an idea or opinion, or, give us a call. We want to hear what you got to say, 860-461-7577. A lot of you all are fans of house music, and give us a call. Let us know what you think. And what we're discussing on here today. Also, we got Curtis Phillips. He just responded. Let me add this to the chat. It says a lot of us never acquired the business adequate for our own music genres because we never had the economics back our music. Education, for sure. Derek, you hit the point exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, all of that is true. He's just echoing everything I said. And I think that's what hurt house music in a sense. And then it was the rivalry in the late 80s. We had a lot of rivalry. See, we didn't have social media. Social media magnified what was kind of real small to the eye, to the naked eye that we were dealing with in the 80s. You still had jealousy. You had people tearing down your posters and when you were doing events and going against your parties. But also at the same time, there was a mutual respect. When we used to do I used to be on a crew called Park Avenue. And we would think about getting the maximum crowd. So if another crew was putting on an event on Friday, we said, okay, we'll either do it the next Friday or we'll do it Saturday. If they did it Saturday, then we would do it Friday. We respected the fact that let them get their crowd, then we'll get our crowd. Well, and then as time went on, it got very competitive. Then it was so much backstabbing and talking about this crew, this DJ, that producer, this label, that label, because we were turning into the music mecca. It was so many labels and attorneys and companies moving into Chicago because house music was just the cat's meow, if you want to use that term. And because it was so much fighting and bickering and backbiting, the company started leaving and moving out and going away because there was no collaboration. There was no, continuous continuity of us working together. And that really hurt us, to a great degree. And not to mention, the burning of disco, back in the day, in the ballpark, with I think Steve Dow, he had, and they were burning all black music, and he was attacking, calling it the gay music, and and really it was all geared towards blacks, and pretty much every disco record that was burned out there, it was an African American record. And then they pulled house music off the radio, which was a huge mistake. When they pulled house music off the radio, they stopped a lot of people like a Steve Hurley or myself or Farley, somebody that would come along that would create a tune that would cross over into the mainstream. So you got to think about people like CeCe Peniston,
right,
and stuff like that. They had all of this crossover music that had the house vibe, and it was crossing over. Okay, when you pulled us off the radio, you forced us underground, and then we had to start trying to figure it out from where we were, because there was nowhere for people to hear our music. Like if you heard a particular track and people want to keep hearing it, then eventually if you keep playing it on commercial radio, it would cross over and people would start buying it. So you got to think about the deceased, the late Colonel Abrams, when he was doing stuff, and how his music crossed over, but it was definitely a house rhythm to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Right now, where is house music at right now? In the music in the DJ entertainment industry, where is it at right now? I mean, has the original house music died, or are they carrying on some of the tradition in the house music?
The original house music, if we want to use that term, really went to the Latinos. A lot of their heroes was Scott Smokin Seals, Mickey Oliver, Ralphie Rosario, Mario Diaz, Mickey Oliver, Farley. They were all free. Bad Boy Bill. They were all freestyle artists, scratching and playing the up tempo, happy dancey beat stuff, and the African American people, they went totally underground. They went, got very eccentric, and it had to be about disco. It had to be about soulful vibe. It was one of those things, and it kind of created a divide. So what once influenced us, like BMX and the Hot Mix 5 crew, end up kind of being embraced by the Latino community, and the black people kind of pushed it off, and they went more towards the Ron Hardys and the Frankie Knuckles and the Mike Dunns and everybody that was playing, Craig Loftus, everybody that was playing in the clubs, on the southeast side of Chicago and some certain spots up north. Everything just kind of went underground, and like I said, taking it off the radio hurt. And then it also pissed me off too, because a lot of African American DJs that are around my age and a little younger, you cannot tell me that you were not influenced in some way by the Hot Mix 5.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way. There's really no way. Now, it might have been some guys that might have got influenced by Ron Hardy or Frankie Knuckles. Ron Hardy taught me how to play disco.
Wow.
I was always afraid of disco, and he taught me how to play it, So yeah.
Hey, we got so many people chiming in. All of our viewers are chiming in right now. We got Craig Loftus.
That's my buddy, Craig Loftus. Yeah, another great producer, DJ. Yeah.
Yeah, he said it wasn't meant to be commercialized. That's why it was dropped.
Well, Craig, me and Craig, and we're probably gonna talk after this interview. It wasn't. Well, no, it wasn't. But I think just like house music was not meant to be house music. It just popped up. It was an accident. It was just a sound, and it just happened. Mm-hmm. When Communicate, Richard Patterson and Danny Wilson, when they did the track Communicate, it crossed over. I don't think it was meant to cross over. I think it was just a song that had a nice house feel and everybody wanted it in the clubs. And then it got highly requested in the clubs and then it crossed over. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So no, I don't think technically he's right. I don't think it was meant to be a crossover music. My point that I'm trying to make in that is, if I create a tune today that has a house vibe, let's look at David Guetta, Carl Cox, who else? Calvin Harris, all of these guys, they started making club music with a poppy vibe to it, and then they had all of this house foundation to it. And what did it do? It crossed over into the mainstream. So if I sit down and create a song today, and I really, in my mind, let's say you just opened up the show with, that's my wife singing that vocal, Bree Jones. That's my wife singing "Love Me Down." So let's say "Love Me Down," is getting played a lot in the clubs, and then let's say for whatever reason it hits radio.
Right.
Now it starts to cross over. Was it meant to go crossover? No, I created it for the soulful crowd, for the clubs. But next thing I know, I look up and it's crossed over.
Mm-hmm.
So no.
Hey, so we got Aaron Matthews chimed in. He's out there. Thank you for tuning in. Says, don't forget Farley was the bridge for blacks on the Hot Mix 5.
Awesome. Yes. Farley was a hero for us, because when you think about it, and I mentioned that in my book, Farley was a face. He was the raisin in the oatmeal, the pepper in the grits. So, and it wasn't a whole lot of people like Farley, like us, on the air doing that, playing that music. When we heard that Tarzan yell, or we heard that locomotive starting up in the beginning of that mix, we were like, yes, Farley about to kill it, and he was our hero. He was our hero. Now over time we all have our disagreements, because we were all peers. We came up together and we all bickered, we all fought, we all said things, we all did things, but there is still a very unspoken, quiet admiration and respect for everybody in the game.
Right.
It's just a shame that we don't do it enough, as a people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to make sure that we get in all of the hey, we got some callers calling in now, but we got one more question out there. Hello, caller, you're on the call.
Hey, this is Lafayette. How you doing?
Hey, Lafayette, how's it going?
I'm okay. I got a question from Mr. Jones.
What up, Lafayette?
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's the question?
My question is, if you had the dollar that you have today, right now, what would you take back in? If you could go back to the past, what would you take with you?
Knowing what I know now and go back?
Yeah.
Well, knowing what I know now, going back, one thing I would have took the advice of Farley. Farley told me, we get a lot of feedback there. Farley told me, he said, Derek, you're too quiet, you're too modest. He said, you need to beat your own chest and let people know that you're out there. You got to get out there and let people know that you're out there, or you're going to get passed by. And I came from parents that said, oh, no, boy, you don't do that. You work hard, and from your labor, people will recognize you. And I didn't understand that didn't work in show business. That absolutely did not work in show business. No, you have to have a certain level of arrogance and confidence and humility. It's all got to kind of level off, And I didn't know how to do that. I was always the shy kid, says, oh, yeah, I'll play this. Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Oh, yeah, I'll do this. And they say, hey, you want me to put you on the flyer? Hey, no, it's okay. It's okay. How dumb was I? So, those were things, that one of the things I would take back too, I would have definitely learned how to understand and read contracts better. I would definitely take back how to market and promote, and all the things that we learned in the process of that, and that I know now how to do better, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you so much, Lafayette, for that question. And those of you that got some questions, I'm telling you, we get hit hard here with all kinds of questions and then the remarks. We got Reginald Davenport again. He says, speaking of radio, when hip hop got more popular, it overshadowed house music.
Yeah, well, that's our fault to a degree. We were holding hip hop off pretty well. I used to DJ at this club called the Copper Box too. And hip hop artists and their managers and promoters would come into the club all the time, and they would lay $100 bills on the turntable platter and say, "Will you play this song?" And I said, "Ooh, no, I can't play that. We playing house tonight, man. They will chase me out of here. I cannot play that rap music in here."
Yeah.
And then they would drop another 100. They said, "Come on, man, just play the record." I said, "It's not the night for it." And we held it off. We held it off quite a bit. And then when we started, when it fell off of radio and we started bickering and everything amongst each other, we gave them an open door to come in. Because even then, house was so strong then like it is now. And I think time is kind of repeating itself a little bit, where you're starting to get hip hop artists that want that 4/4 house rhythm that they can spit over or rap over or whatever term you want to use. And it was kind of like that then. You have, Queen Latifah was doing stuff back then and people didn't even know that. We were mixing in MC Light, and Light as a Rock and all of that. We were doing all that, not that it was totally a house song or a rap song, but I mean, I looked at Watch the Closing Doors, to be that kind of a track, but it was what I call bridge music. It bridged us over a little bit where we can kind of, play a little of this, play a little of that. But yeah, eventually rap music did take over. And I think, in my opinion, the death of rap was when we started getting into, the gangster rap. And it was a thing where I believe the whole, Jewish market at that time was making money off the sensationalism of drug dealers, gangbangers, crackhead, all the things that they wanted to be, and they just said, "Hey man, keep making music like that." And we didn't have any clue how that would just tear us apart all the way. Here we are, 2020 going into 2021, and now we got rap music singing about shooting somebody, screwing some girl from the back, oral sex and drugs and glorifying money and twerking and all of this kind of stuff. So here's where we are.
Hey, I want to play that track again for a few minutes here, and it's a track that you created called "Love Me Down."
Mm-hmm.
All right.
This is how you make me feel when I'm like safe in your arms. Every time he touches me, I feel my soul is set free.
All right, I can't give it all up. I can't give it all up, Derek. Hey, That was "Love Me Down," and I'm telling you, I've been listening to that track all day today. It's like, man, wow. Hey, tell us a little bit about how the viewers can get your music.
Well, I feel this way. Um, First of all, that track I did, and I'll tell everybody how to get my music. One, you can get it off of Bandcamp, and that's a whole nother issue in itself, with commercial distribution. But yeah, I'm on Bandcamp, TrackSource, Track It Down, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, XM Rate. I mean, pretty much just Google Derek Smokin Jones and go shopping. Yeah.
All right. Hey, tell us about your book that you wrote. Talk about the Chicago finest in house music.
Well, it technically wasn't a book I wrote in a sense that I wrote this big book. Everybody wants me to write a book, and I actually started on writing a book. I just got to finish it. I got a few chapters left, but this book actually was an accidental book. I don't know if you have, I should have got you a copy of it, but, and I don't know if you have a picture of it, but the book is a pictorial of a lot of photos and memories that I had, that I saved for myself. And I had actually kind of created a computer photo album. Mm-hmm. And my sister-in-law, she's a book publisher, and she came from the house era. Matter of fact, back in the day is a big secret, but I know she'll kill me for telling, but she used to date Ron Hardy. And before, okay, it's a whole nother story. We're not gonna get into that. But anyway, she loves house music. Right. And she looked at all the photos and everything I had and pictures of old flyers and people. And she says, "What are you doing with this?" And I said, nothing. I said, sometimes I feel nostalgic and I go back and I look at it from time to time. And she said, "Let's put it in a book." I said, okay. And she said, yeah. So I end up arranging it, and I will put captions up under it. Okay, this was the Warehouse. This is Frankie Knuckles, the Godfather of house music. This is Craig Loftus, blah, blah, blah. This is Dajay. This is blah, blah, blah. This is what. And then I took it further, and I started putting in I started putting in the clothes that we wore and the food that we ate and the cologne and the perfumes that we put on. And I went from fashion to food to instruments to everything that we use. And I remember when the book came out and I was signing it and giving it to people would start fingering through it and start crying. And that did something to me. I kind of fell back and I was like, why are they crying? Right. And people were so touched by the memories and things, I guess, and is how it was explained to me. And I mean, it done something to me emotionally as well. I mean, I was just like, wow, to see somebody crying, fingering through my, book. I was like, wow, that's interesting. But it was tears of joy. It was tears of remembering what once was and how we were as teenagers and how we were as young adults and seeing people that we had, looking at photos of ourselves when we were 19 and 20 years old in the clubs and it's one of those things. So it was really created to be kind of a coffee table book, and just for somebody to go through, flip through and say, oh man, I remember wearing those 501 jeans, and oh man, I remember wearing, K-Swiss, and it was just that's kind of whole
Hey, how can they create a book? We got Jay Wu. Jay Wu is out here, and he's a listener and a viewer, and he said, I have that book. It's great history facts.
Yeah, Jay Wu is a good friend of mine. Hey Jay, and he's also a DJ, a very good brother. Craig Loftus is my brother. Me and Craig have known each other like babies and pacifiers, go back way back. So I appreciate them tuning in. And Craig Loftus, if you ever get a chance to get him on your show, you should. He has a lot of history
Okay.
that he can give you. Marshall Jefferson has a lot of history that he can give you. It's so many guys, man, and I have to send out love to a lot of my DJs, like, her name is LaQuillian Moon. She's a good tribal DJ. She started playing tribal, aka DJ Fantasy. We got Maurice Davis, Titan Davis, aka the Guillotine. He started out in hip hop, and he's a good producer. He edits a lot of R&B tracks and rock tracks into house music. It's so many DJs. DJ Dre, another talented DJ. She plays a lot of my music, and she stays out of the house drama and politics and all of that. So there's so many.
All right, yeah. I would love to get together. Maybe we can get a day where we can get all of your house music staff together, and I'm telling you, let's do it and do a part B to this. We got Reginald Davenport. He said, "Oh snap, yeah, we did have our colognes. My two were cool, Water and
Lagerfeld. Yeah,
yeah,
Lagerfeld. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Reginald Davenport. He's another good DJ. And he's on the FM radio college station. I think it's WNUR. I believe that's what it is. I might be wrong. Reginald will tell you, but I mean, he's another awesome DJ, real good, knowledgeable brother. Yeah. He knows his albums and his LPs. He's a walking encyclopedia. And I've actually signed a few records for Red.
Okay. Hey, Reginald, Jay, Craig. Hey, if you guys be willing to come back on a part B to this, because there's more history to add when it comes down to the house music. We want to hear your perspective, and we want to have you guys come on also and give a perspective. Maybe we can have a day and have everybody come on and everybody chime in. That'll be great, for this. Now tell me something, Lafayette. What's the name of the book and how they can get your book?
Oh, my book. You said Lafayette. I thought you okay.
I mean, not Lafayette, but Derek.
just go to Amazon and type in the book name, which is My House Memories, Derek Smokin Jones, and order the book. It's dropped in price because when it first came out, it was like $20-something. I think in some cases you can get it for $9, $7. Yeah. Depending, you pay more for the hardback. I was going to try and grab one, but yeah, that's it. It's called My House Memories, Derek Smokin Jones. It should pop up, Okay. It's a fun book.
If you have a copy of it, let me move the camera over to my, and you can grab it real quick.
Oh, sure. Okay.
All right. Yeah, so hey, I'm talking to all the DJs out there. Hey, if you all want to come back and do a part B and to this, I would love to have you all come on and everybody come on and set up a date and whereas everybody's available, maybe a Saturday if everybody's available. Come on and talk about what you guys do each, and then let's get into the more deeper side of the house music, especially the Chicago house music that we have. Me add Derek back in here. All right, Derek, you're back.
Yep. Here's the book. Can you get is that in the shot pretty good there?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Everybody can see it. Mm-hmm.
Yep. There it is. So that's the book. And it's just, it's a pictorial. It's just a pic. See, I just opened up to the fashion page, the polos, the eyes, the Swatch watches, the things we used to wear back then, preppies and, the different labels and posters. And I tried to show love to everybody, you know, in the era and up and coming DJs, you know. I'm grateful, you know, to Glenn Underground, another cool brother, man, that I've known for a while, and I'm getting ready to do a radio show for them called, you know, Smoking Inc. Smokehouse Sessions, and it's going to be on the Get Down. Their show is called the Get Down, and that is going to be starting November 5th, every Thursday, you know, 3-hour show from, you know, 12 to 2, 12 to 3, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and speaking of Lafayette, I want to thank Lafayette for allowing us to connect, because Lafayette, he told me about you, and yeah, definitely you, and we got your information, and we exchanged informations, and we got you here finally.
Yeah, Lafayette, man, and I want to say, man, you guys need to. I'm dropping stuff. You guys need to support his, you know, his track. I mean, it was a lot of confusion by people. Oh, it's not a gospel house track. You know, I mean, they put elements of it in there. And see, this is what I mean by crossing over. You know, you know, he created an awesome workout song, you know, and he's a very humble brother. If you know, I know you've interviewed him. He's a very humble brother. And the song is just for that. Get out there and work out, you know, get your workout on, you know, you know, if you're into kettlebells or aerobics, you know, that might be the thing for you to do, you know, and just support. See, the problem is we do not support each other. And if we can't build wealth in the Black businesses and in Black communities, we cannot progress. You cannot move without having a dollar. You know what I'm saying? The world moves off the dollar. So we have to start generating dollars and circulating dollars in our own communities, circulating dollars to help back and promote businesses and artists. And we need to start coming up with bigger and better things to get us out there as a people. And I think the problem is it's always that big me, little you.
Right.
I want to go first. I should be the first one. No, we can all move this train together. You know, it doesn't have to be you first or you more important or me bigger than you, because even in most of our thinking, in our biggest state that we think we're in, we're still very small to the majority.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
We keep hollering level playing field. We can't get a level playing field. We spend more of our money in other markets,
right,
with other people than we do it ourselves. How in the world do you feel or even think that we're going to have a club, a venue, or play on the big stage? We can't even agree on having a huge week of, like, my festival. My music festival is called the Music Alliance Festival.
Right.
I called it the Alliance Festival because initially I was trying to get all the summer picnics, mine, the Chosen Few, the Queens of House, the Attic Picnic, and all these house picnics that we do into 1 week, you know, where we would just have consistent parties and people would come out and do things. And everybody's like, well, who's in charge? Well, who's going to take money? Well, I was like, oh, my God. I said, are we doing this? You know, and that's the problem. You know, we're so worried about stuff that's really not that important, and we keep missing the big picture. And until we change as a people, this is not music, until we change, African American people, until we change as a people and learn to love and respect each other and work together, we're not going to see the numbers. We're not going to have the stages. We're not going to have the platforms that we want, because we are our own worst enemy.
You're right about that. Hey, we got Jay Woo. He chimed in again. When I seen the pictures of the 808 machine, I never used, but watched plenty of DJs use this thing and learned just by watching. Just wondering, with the music of today, could it still be useful?
Yes, it's being used constantly now. The 808 is one of the biggest footprints with MPC drums right now, and and in a lot of software and DAWs and everything, the 808 and the 909 is still living and pumping strong. The hip hop artists are using it. The hip hop artists are using it quite a bit. You know, techno people are using it quite a bit. Drum bass people are using it quite a bit. So yeah, those sounds are still going very strong right now today. Yes, no doubt.
All right, we got Mr. Moon. Actually, is Little Quilo
Lilikoi Moon.
Little
That's
Koi.
DJ Fantasy. Yes.
All right, Little Quilo Moon. He says Smoking Dog. All right, yeah, all right. We got J Woo not going to happen in Chicago.
Yeah, well, you know, that's the whole thing. You know, the Chicago politics is real. It's here. And, you know, that's why a lot of people say, hey, let's bring up a new younger generation of DJs because the old guys just refuse to work together. Mm. And, you know, I tell people this all the time. When you let your personal mess with your business, you fail. When you let your feelings dictate your pocketbook, you're an idiot.
Hey, what about let's talk about, you know, with all that history now of the house music, and you know, as we know, a lot of artists are dying, you know, a lot of DJs are dying,
yep.
And the history of the music is dying along with them, because you know for sure all those you know, news articles, you know, all those records, you know, they're all up in the attic somewhere collecting dust, and nobody knows what's going on. You know, they sell the house and it's gone. You know, what about creating a museum piece? I was just talking to a young man earlier today who does photographs. You know, setting up, you know, a museum with all of those pictures. Well, and
I can stop you right there. We have been trying to get a museum going since, God, maybe 2014, 2016. And it was the same thing. Who's in charge of it? Where's it going to be? And again, it not just that, but again, it fell back down to economics.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we getting the money from? Is the city going to approve it? You know, what stuff is going in there? Who's going to run it? It was so many things, but I have a plan. And I'm going to execute this plan with or without anybody, you know. And, you know, we're going to see some things come into fruition, you know, because we deserve that. It's a lot of guys here. There's a lot of guys here that work their fingers to the bone. To create this sound, to create this culture. They should be recognized. They should be identified. And then, of course, you're going to run into, well, how come they in there and I'm not in there? You know, it's always going to be something. But yeah, at the end of the day, we're going to try and get as many people in there as possible, recognize as many people as possible. And then if you're up and coming and your grind is strong and you proved yourself out here, and what I mean by grind is strong and proving yourself is not being approved by me or not being approved by the chosen few guys or not being approved. What it means is that you've shown yourself approved by the listening audience. Your numbers reflect your preaching about, hey, I'm this guy and I'm important and I should be in here. Well, if you only got a whole 2 fans and you're hollering that you're important, then there's a problem. You know, now if you got a few 100,000 fans or you got a few thousand fans, then and you're out here playing often, your music is selling, and or you're getting booked a lot as a DJ, and you know your name is buzzing through all the circles on a constant basis, then yeah, now we have something to talk about. There's a lot of guys, man, that want to be inclusive in the things and they don't put in the work. And
That's
then
right.
Sometimes they'll use the fact that veterans are doing stuff. Well, they won't let me in. They won't let me do this. Nobody really per se gave me anything. You know, we had people that opened doors for us to get into certain clubs and do things like that. But at the end of the day, my grind was real. I had to sit down and figure out how to play the drum machines and work MIDI recorders and edit, and I had to figure out what major and minor chords were and all of that. So at the end of the day, you still got to make your marker. When I do the Music Alliance Festival, I try and let a lot of new DJs come in every year. We didn't have it this year because of COVID.
Right.
We're planning it for 2021. We usually have it the last Saturday in July or the first Saturday in August every year religiously.
Okay.
And I give them a platform and I tell them, I said, okay, because people will get mad and say, well, why would you put that DJ on? He or she sucks, or they're not this, or they're not that. I said, you know what? That's not for you to tell them that. I said, the audience will tell them that.
Right.
I said, I'm going to open the door. I'm going to give them the platform.
The opportunity.
What they do once they get up on that stage, that's all on them.
Yeah. Now, I can attest to that. I had a young man who was a fantastic guitarist and a fantastic vocalist. I had my music series that came in, and I had him come on. And he was a young artist. This was his first really appearance, and he got up, he froze, after getting his nerves together and assuring him that everything was going to be all right. He hit the song, and he hit the song nonstop. He just needed that little push, and that reassurance and that, that support. Now this young man, I heard him in concert, I believe it was last year, and I couldn't believe, that this was the same individual, Wow, what a change. This guy is professional. Now he's doing CD projects and working with this band and that band. And I'm like, wow. But just to give that individual that opportunity and that start and that push helped him develop his craft and helped him along his way. And I applaud you for that. Yes. Yeah. Hey, so many people are chiming in. We got Craig, but also they have physical archives. Also we have, he said, preach Derek. Craig Loftus Vintage House Show is a part of it. Craig Loftus, Lori Brack and her crew are doing that already through Northwestern. I guess they're creating a museum. And so, that's a cool idea for a museum. Hey, definitely try to get all of your, it's almost like a union, try to get unionized. And
we tried to do that. Years ago. I had everything set up for not just unionization, but to unionize the DJs. And we had it set up for health and medical care, and we had it set up for them to have burial benefits, because I am so tired of DJs passing away and producers passing away and everybody doing a GoFundMe.
Right.
And a lot of guys didn't jump on it because it was a twofold, again, economics. Guys couldn't afford to pay into it, even at a $25 rate. You see what I'm saying? $25 a month. Now, realistically, yes, you could if you were really serious about it. But if you're looking at, a lot of guys weren't gigging like that. And the little money that they got, they would use it to buy more equipment. And they never thought about their future, because I guess, like we all do, we feel like we're never going to die or we're never going to get sick. Or my family probably going to do this, or my family probably going to do that. And I think that's a very selfish attitude. You shouldn't leave the responsibility on your friends and family to figure out what to do with your corpse. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that's a bad thing. I think that's a very selfish, negative attitude. you know, and then you don't care enough about yourself and your craft to protect yourself, because there was so many venues and clubs out here that were screwing DJs. You know, they weren't signing contracts, they weren't paying guys at the end of the night, they were undercutting. They were, you know, you had DJs undercutting other DJs. It was, and see, if we unionized, it would have put a kibosh to all of that. It would have held clubs responsible. It would have held DJs responsible, and a lot of guys felt like, well, no, I can't make my slick money. I can't make my slick money if I get into a union. So no, I ain't getting involved with that, because no, man, you know,
it only takes a certain percentage. It only takes a certain percentage, you know, say all the guys come up with $50 a piece, and if you got 20 or 30 guys in there and everybody's pitching in $50 a gig or $50 a month, you know, to come together, and you look at the end of the year how much you will have, and you take that money to invest in properties, you invest in you know, anything, you know, you can have your own equipment, you know, and lease it out, you know.
Right. It's a lot of unions that are existing right now for DJs, and unfortunately, most of them are ran by Caucasians.
Right.
And they offered me 2 chapters at one time to start pulling in DJs, you know, and none of the guys would come in for it. I think Rocky Jones at one time, the owner of DJ International Records, he even tried to do it at one time, and it kiboshed. I tried it twice, you know, it kiboshed. And again, I think too, a lot of guys weren't gigging on the regular like that in order to support it. And like I said, most of them, when they did get their money, they were trying to buy the latest turntable, mixer, CDJ, and they weren't thinking about, ooh, maybe I should put a little money back in case I get sick, or ooh, I should put some money up because this may help me to get in a club later on and protect me from getting undercut. Because see, that's why I would get so mad when I would see guys go Facebook Live or put up posts on Facebook talking about the whole house music system and F that and F this and screw this guy and screw that guy and all of that. And I would shake my head and say, well, you had a chance to do something about it. The very thing that you're complaining about, we could have organized and fixed it, and you wouldn't be arguing about this right now. But because you don't care enough, or because you're greedy, or because you're more than likely one of those sneaky undercutting SOBs, then yeah, you get what you get. You know, so that's why you have a lot of more hierarchy DJs that be like, you know what? I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to make my music. I'm going to go do my gigs. And I can't keep worrying about you other cats because y'all are not serious about what you're doing. And I'm tired of the whining. I'm tired of hearing about it. You know, I'm just going to handle mine. And then they'll get mad about that. The veteran DJs don't care. The powers that be hate us. And they trying to keep us down because we spin better than them, or we make better tracks than them, and they don't like whoa, whoa, whoa. And it is hilarious.
Wow. Hey man, we got to come back, man, and do a part B to this. I tried to get it all in one segment, but it's not. We're not able to get it all.
You cannot. There's no way.
So hey, all you aspiring DJs out there, hey. Let's make sure that let's see if we can come back together and do this once again.
I'll help you set that up. I will.
Okay. All right. We're gonna set this up and do a part B to the history of house music and where it's at right now. A part B segment to this. Hey, we got a J Rule here. Let's be careful how you implement that, brother. We already in the hating city.
Yeah, you know, I can't. You know, they know. Everybody knows that I'm very outspoken and I'm very blunt.
Yeah.
And I say what I mean, and I mean what I say, and I'm man enough to apologize if I made a mistake. But I know I'm not making a mistake, and this is not casting any hate out on anybody. It's calling it out to be what it is. This is what is in front of us every day. This is what we see every day. This is,
Derek,
the arguments every day.
I want to say this, Derek. Not just only in DJs, we're experiencing this in all genres of music.
Exactly.
I just the other day, matter of fact, it was last night. Promoter came on and asking for a GoFund for artist that has been around for one of our greatest singers in the music industry, and he's calling for GoFund for this artist. And I'm like, this is where we are at right now. The singers didn't prepare for themselves, DJs didn't prepare for themselves. When it comes down to making sure that they have life insurance, make sure they have health care, making sure that their well-being is taken care of. Now, artists can't even pay the mortgage for one day. So this is a problem that we've not just facing with DJs, it's faced all over the genre of music, especially our Black culture music.
Think about how many DJs during COVID could have been collecting unemployment.
Right.
And or going in, let's say if they had investments or things like that, and they were able to borrow off of their 401ks or whatever, that we would implement it. Because I had bankers, I had investors and investment bankers. I had so many people willing to come in and sign up people and say, hey, this is how you do the stock market, or this is what you can invest in. And then when you think about the money, they could have had to live off of today, because, COVID hurt me. COVID hurt a lot of DJs, not just Black, but white too. I mean, clubs shut down, Las Vegas shut down, Miami shut down, New York shut down, everything shut down where we were gigging. And then they say, oh, you can't fly overseas to play now, and you can't go here and you can't go there, and we're closing it down. And now all your bookings where you had 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, of different parties and sets that you could have been doing. Even the record sales slowed down, because how many DJs were really buying records during COVID? They like, where we gonna play it at? There's no parties,
Right. I'm telling you, man, we gotta get back. Hey, stay tuned, everyone. We're gonna have a part B to this, and I'm telling you, it's gonna be great. All right. Hey, thank you, Mr. Jones. Thank you so much. And all of you all go to digital outlets and support Derek Jones and his new projects that he have out there. And I'm telling you, and don't forget to get that book. And it's fantastic that's out there. Get your copy while supplies last.
I want them to get I'm Thankful. You didn't play that for me today, but I'm Thankful is a gospel house song done by a guy named Lafayette Parker. And Lafayette Parker has sung on a lot of songs, but the good thing, the story behind Lafayette Parker, real quick, this brother had a massive stroke. He couldn't walk, he couldn't talk, he couldn't do anything for a long time. And now, he came back, he's singing, he's dancing, he's driving, he's handling his business. They had pretty much written him off. And, please get I'm Thankful, man, because that brother is got a test. He's another guy you should get on your show. He's got a testimony as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. With that, hey, we're gonna take us out, and we're gonna play a little bit of that track. I'm Thankful. Right here on the Vnetwork Radio. We're gonna play a little bit of that track. I think we got it. Let me cue it up real quick.
My Savior, my God. Thank you, Lord. Whoa. When I was sick, Lord, you was there. Jesus. When I was down, Lord, you lifted me. I'm down on my feet, saying thank you, Lord. Oh.
All right, we got to go. Hey, don't forget to go out there and support. All right, thank you all. Take care. All right, see you next time.